Yeah, it's there. All right, call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Steve Brown,
Here.
Toya Shropshire,
Here.
Charles Trammell.
Here. Okay, discuss a possible action regarding the minutes of the September 30th, 2025 meeting. I'll introduce a
Motion.
motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Brown,
I'll have to abstain.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Okay. Action items, discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding updates to fire subscription and due. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. We need the chief back in here, I'm sure.
There he is.
There's the
You're
chief.
up. You're up, chief.
You're up right off the bat. Okay, ordinance. Ordinance 217-1. We're,
Fire subscription and dues.
yeah,
Okay.
So the fire subscription stuff, the mayor, I think he's had discussion with like the industrial park. We've talked about that. We don't have a commercial subscription at this time for anything outside. So we kind of talked about trying to have one, and you could figure it on square footage or hazmat, this or that. Today I had some talks with some other fire departments that have had some and have got to where, and I apologize, Mayor, I didn't get back with you after I talked to them. But they're starting to lean more heavy on the billing side, just because we can't force you to have a fire subscription. So it kind of comes like we were discussing earlier, you know, how big's the company? Is it something worthwhile? I think there should be tiers if we do proceed, and that's what we're gonna kind of ask for your all's guidance. Like a mom and pop shop shouldn't be paying the same as a big industry that's got a bunch of hazmat. But if it's something they want or something their insurances require from them, we could make a little bit there to help offset cost.
how would we, I'm trying to think of from where we're sitting, how would we know what would be the right rate to charge?
And that's where Mr. Brown, Tyler Brown, I talked to him months ago, we were talking about this, and that's the big thing. I mean, our biggest one or our biggest industries out in the industrial park.
Sure.
And they're hitting a home run off us. How to go out there and try to collect something to where they're kind of even paying forward, even if they have calls or not, they're getting a break off us for being out there. So I don't know if you look at the square footage, if you look at what hazmat they have, what kind of technical rescue, if you could build a step plan or a tier plan, say, hey, you know, so many square foot cost you this. If you're just making T-shirts,
Yeah.
you're not a big hazard.
How do other communities do it?
Well, that's the thing, and like I talked with a gentleman from Claremore today, and he said, we don't even mess with it, which they're pretty much sucked up to their city limits.
Yeah.
Which is super nice. They still go out on mutual aid calls, but they also can be like, well, we just won't go. I mean, they wouldn't do that, but it also gets to where, like,
There's got to be other communities in Oklahoma
I
that
think
do this.
when I talked to a few, some of the things that I had heard were like square footage, you know, of course, the hazmat, things like that, but also employee count. And a lot of your industrial areas will do things like your subscriptions on, you know, are you 0 to 100 employees, 100 to 500, 500 to 2,000, if you're, and that's, because that's gonna tell you square footage, you're not gonna have, you know, 2,000 employees in 100,000 square feet.
yes.
So
How about the fire marshal, state fire marshal? Do they have any guidance?
No, they'll probably leave all this up to us. They won't want to
Okay.
get in that.
Yeah, I know if you go to Pryor Chemical or Pryor Foundry or American Castings, that's gonna be a lot more hazardous than going to the T-shirt company. Or,
Yes.
those are the two biggest hazardous plants we've got out there right now.
Yeah, and that's where we're kind of, we're very unique with our industrial park. Just hands down, we're super unique because they're not inside city limits. But if you were to take that and suck that into where city limits was, and we were getting sales tax, what they were selling and what they're, yeah.
We would be happy campers.
Yeah. So it kind of gets to where you're running that, hey, it's good for us because there are people that work out there that live in our community that eat and live here. And it's one of those deals though, then you also look at it and be like, man, they're also hitting a home run because they get us as a fire service. They get even PD, will smooch over on calls to help county and vice versa. So they've got a heck of a benefit, but it's trying to figure out.
And you also have to have firefighting equipment that work out there.
Yeah.
Which we don't really need some of that stuff in town, but you do need it out there.
Yeah. And that's where, I don't know, and I think like the mayor was bringing this up, do we, look at doing something that we got a commercial fire subscription or dues or however we want, and then see how that rolls out. But I also think we probably need to start beefing up our billing, because even like Tulsa did, Tyler and us talked about that, because Tulsa's done that to where inside city limits right now, we really can't bill.
Right.
Because it's fire service inside city limits. But if we opened it up to where we could bill insurances for like vehicle wrecks or even house fires, like I was saying earlier, a bunch of insurances, they already have it, a built-in $500. Well, if we work a structure fire, we don't get anything to where at least we could bill and get the insurance.
What does a truck cost to go outside city limits? Is it still around $500?
Well, so we have a response fee of $500, and depending on what truck it is, they're kind of tiered out. I think a brush truck, say $150, and don't quote me on that, and then like an engine's $250, and a specialty truck might be a little bit more.
So what do you think if we set something like it $500 per call out in the industrial park for like an accident, or the first truck is gonna cost $500, whether it's a brush truck or whatever, to the industrial park?
Yes, and we've got that now. So like when we bill now, they have an industrial fire fund. So if they pay into that, and when
That's
we go
their
to bill,
insurance.
it goes to them. And so all them pay in, say $300 a year, $200, $300 a year. Well, they pay in that fund and it builds. And then when we bill them, like if I were to bill Billy Bob's company out there, if he's in that industrial deal, he just gives the bill to them, and then they cut a check out of the industrial fire fund.
Right.
So back when that was all established, and don't quote me on it, but it was back in the day. And I think it was probably fair rates back then.
Right.
But it's kindly moved on, and there's not a lot of people that really want to push the industrial fire fund out there anymore, or take kind of the head of it and run with it.
Well, that could be an incentive for them to do that. If we said, if you're not in that, it's gonna cost you X.
Yeah.
If you're in it, it's gonna cost you X.
I don't think $500 would do it, though.
Well, I mean, just, cause diesel fuel alone is gonna kill you just running
We blow
out
a
there.
front drive tire on one of them trucks.
Oh, yeah.
We spent 500
Well,
bucks right there.
Yeah.
About once a month, you're at 69A and 69 for a wreck right there, 3 or 4 times, 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah, and I think the mayor has had some meetings with them out there about them wanting to possibly step up.
Well, I mean,
Well, they know that they are, what's the best way to say, super behind the bar
oh, yeah.
on hazmat. Almost to a panic right now, especially with CBC now having purchased the land. I mean, that's a go.
Right.
Even though that's on the Shoto side, we know who's going.
Yeah.
But, maybe something we could look at is a risk assessment, and hazard checklist.
Yep.
And so when they come in, we go down there and we just, okay, based on this, your risk assessment says you're paying this much.
And Bob Scudder with them, I forget what his title is with them, but Scudder Bob's got a emergency something or another, but that's what he's kind of over to
Yeah.
where we could probably sit down and say, hey, we're gonna do it on square footage, and he's a hazmat guy, he likes hazmat.
Oh, he loves
So,
it.
He's got a PhD in that.
yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
you could even be like, hey, do you owe it just a 55-gallon drum, but this drum turns into this if this happens.
Right.
When it expands, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look what a few drops of
Yeah.
diesel and a
This
little bit
does
of
and this
ammonia does,
mixes.
yeah.
Yeah, we got a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're open, but that was, I think what the mayor and I talked about the other day was kind of get this on your all's plate and see.
So is what we have in front of us new, or are we just modifying something that already exists?
Well, so what we have now for fire subscription is just this, and it was broke back in the day for residential, and that's a $60 subscription.
So this would be a whole new ordinance.
I think you would add on to fire subscriptions, but so you would have a residential and you'd have a commercial.
Well,
Like
I mean,
an addendum.
in the ordinance 2017-1, under 41A7A, it does say outside city limits. So that could include, that's anything.
Now, we have companies that'll come
Yeah,
purchase those, and I don't know if they still do. Let me take that back. There were some companies that had some issues with their insurance or whatever, and I say issues, they had to prove that they had fire subscription, and we would respond, which we'll respond to anywhere outside
Right.
in our fire district.
right.
But they were coming and they were a larger facility, but they were paying the same for a couple that lives on a 15-acre tract with a little home. They're paying $60 a year. That same company was paying 60 and making their insurance people happy that showed that they had a fire subscription
Right.
with us, so.
Well, even though I don't have anything out there on my little 2 acres out there with Mike and everything, we're all on Osage Fire out
Yeah.
there, is where we're at, and I think it's $49 a year, or $50
Yeah.
a year is all it is for subscription, so. And I'm like everybody else, so I'm just gonna take my, you know, if it catches, you know, I don't have anything sitting on it, so somebody's gonna have to have said it, or it's gonna come to it, so.
Yeah, no, and
You know.
and that's the thing, and you can't hold that against somebody to sit there and be like, hey, I'll roll the dice.
Yeah.
You know, but if they're using it, if they're able to use it to show their insurance, we've got something.
Right.
Then,
Reduce insurance, yeah.
so I think that's where, and hopefully we can push it and some companies see it as, hey, it's a small investment to help upgrade our services we get.
What do you think, $1,000 would be fair?
And I can reach out to, which, as long as, and I don't know, the mayor and you all might, but I think if we go out and we do a little bit more and we get with Bob Scudder out there and look at building a plan, as long as we build a plan, I mean, it's still got to come to council.
Right,
So maybe we can work on something and I can get with you all before we put it on the agenda, or we'll see it when it goes on the agenda, but to start that legwork to,
OOWA has
Well, I
got to
know-
have an idea.
we're the
We
ninth,
get Bob Scudder up here and we can sit down and,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're the 9th largest industrial park in the United States,
yes, sir.
so.
No, and I think that's the whole thing. And I don't think any of them out there are, if you're hitting a home run, you know, you're
Yeah.
doing good, but I don't think they would also balk that hard on you. You know, just say, hey, this was, you know,
Well,
we need to start coming up to the times.
and I know Dave Stewart has been pushing you guys and the PD to put
Yeah.
a station out there
Yeah.
for both to do, or the county.
Yes.
He's wanting law enforcement and fire department out there is what he's wanting.
And that's, which I'll be a little whiny or whatever, but when you see where companies, and like we have one out there is offering departments, hey, we'll give you 350,000, you know, just write you a check to upgrade stuff. Like, we've been supporting y'all for a while, and I ain't seen one of them checks
Yeah.
ever come across, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I think they know that the needs out there to upgrade their services and, to help us along, but the mayor within talking with who he talks with the OOWA and the other businesses, I think we can kind of come and start to build on that. And I would like to see it a deal that it's reviewed every so often, because,
Right. Well, Google growing, and then we're gonna have this ammo plant after, which is gonna be a whole big different, I mean, it's gonna be
oh,
like,
we've
it's like,
got a lot
it'll be
coming.
just like Will Grow, only worse.
Yeah, we've got a lot coming, and I think that's where, if we start pushing or trying to figure some of this, not only subscription, but billing, like, hey, we're.
Are you equipped at this point to handle that ammo plant, or do you have to get all new equipment? I mean, does that require specialized
Well, I mean,
gear?
it would just be your fire load and how hazard all that stuff is, so, probably
How do you fight gunfire?
Well,
Well-
it's no different, it's no different
So-
than trying to fight the foundry fire. There's no, you can't
Well,
fight a fire.
So let me throw this out there. Talking to their CEO and the new CEO, the on-site CEO, their technique is a little different than your standard ammo plant.
Right.
Everything is done underwater.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
So if there's an explosion, it's contained.
according to them, there won't be explosions.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it'll be a lot like the foundry. Which the foundry can be nasty, but as long as they got water, they're good. Well, when we lose water and the foundry's hollering like, hey, we're about,
To die.
yeah, because, we've lost water, that'll be the same thing to where we'll just have to adapt to, hey, this is in our area now. It's all good, but if we lose A, B, or C, then we've got to figure out how we're going to,
Get,
yeah.
yeah.
To figure that out.
I know the few foundry fires, whenever I worked out there, we were able to get them put out about the same time you guys arrived.
Yeah, but it could be.
Oh, it could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a big one out there and, we almost lost a guy out there that one year when the crane
Oh, yeah.
blew up and it got up into that 30-foot
Yeah,
crane up there and he was able to dive out the door to get out on the roof.
Wow.
yeah, it's all gonna be a learning deal, but I think stuff like this, subscriptions and even billing, we haven't really ever been, I don't wanna say proactive, but everything changes and prices go up, but we've always been kinda lax when it comes to, I'll just say the fire department's like, hey, this is the way it's always been, and we've never, to where I think every so often, even if we change and we adapt this, every 5 years, we need to put eyes on it and say, hey, are we in the market? Are we over the market? Where are we at?
Where does this money go to whenever you put it in there?
So the fire subscriptions used to at one time would go to the fire truck reserve account. I believe most of them still do, but I think if you build the program the way it is, the way we're fortunate now to be setting back capital and building, I would say it would eventually just go to general just to help offset.
For equipment fund?
Yeah. Well,
Basically, an equipment fund for either a truck or additional bunker gear and things
yeah,
like that.
it'd pretty much be like the tickets or the ladies that do stuff up here. That all goes to the general fund. Yes, we generated it, but it's going to help offset those. So at the end of the year, hey, we generated this money and it helps us at the end of the year
Right.
going in the next budget.
Gotcha.
This isn't about commercial, but let's talk about commercial in town. I know everything in town is supposedly free, right? But can you build the insurance if they have insurance, even though you've,
No, we went down that before. We had a pretty big wreck. It wasn't nasty bad. It was just a mess and it took a while to clean up. So we billed the trucking company. The trucking company has attorneys sitting everywhere. So they went through our ordinances and they said, okay, well, we're not gonna pay this because this says that inside city limits and the accident happened inside city limits. We're not paying you. So,
is that something that need to be looked at?
well, that's what I said earlier, when looking at the subscriptions, I think the billing, we also look at doing kind of like what Tulsa passed as to inside city limits, if we can bill, not necessarily the civilian or the citizen, but if there's built-in insurance, like a wreck, especially a commercial truck, like, we should be able to refund our time, dry sweep, or whatever we used. And the same thing with the fires, if it's built in, like, it's not hurting the person. And I believe I talked with the mayor, it might have been Tyler, that one day, I said, even if we have it built in, we can also look at if it's a family that's strained or elderly or something like that, we can also look at it and, like, if the fire chief can take it to the mayor and a city council member and be like, hey, this person's in tight times, this is this, they didn't have insurance for this, or it wasn't covered, I think we could be
something.
fair.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that would be a decision for you all. But, no, I think the fire subscription and the billing, if we sit down, and that's probably a good idea, just
Probably do that.
powwow in your office and
Yeah.
reach out to.
So what is the expectation from this committee tonight? I mean, what do y'all?
Yeah, what do you want us to
If we,
make a motion on?
if we're okay with the mayor and myself, and Mayor, you can correct me if I'm misspeaking, but if we can work on the subscriptions and the dues, if we don't necessarily, I don't say not have to bring them back to you, give you all heads up, but this will have to be voted on council, but it'll give us the opportunity to actually work on this word it up right, get the, I'm sure we need to have legal look over things, make sure it's all typed up good. But then, as soon as we get that, we can throw it on the agenda and push forward, if that works for you all. But there's a lot of probably kicking it back and forth and,
You've got a lot of things.
So
to
is
take
this
care of.
going to become a city ordinance?
It would be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best is if you guys will just make, give your blessing on us going to work on it and then bring what we have to the council when we're done, unless you want it back.
One
to me.
suggestion I would make is set it enough that if you think you need 500, set it at more than that.
yes, sir.
Give yourself some
You know,
slack.
that way, I know it sounds bad, but
Have you talked,
that gives you some room
Dave?
for that. And then, like you said about the insurance, we can change that around to where if it's a car accident, yeah, we're gonna provide fire, but it's gotta be a house burning down or a building burning
Yeah.
down, not a car wreck.
Yes, and I don't know if it'll hit here, but talking to other departments and chiefs at other departments, when you start talking about this and somebody's thinking they're gonna get billed for something they've been getting for free, you get a lot of also the community coming in and voicing concerns.
Yep.
And I think that's where we can work through it, and if we kinda got, I don't wanna say, if we can go out and start building a program and working on it, and then when we get it, hey, this is pretty tight to being buttoned up, the mayor can put it on the agenda, or we can put it on the agenda.
Well, it'll eliminate a lot of that back and forth that'll happen.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then, I guess we'll want to change our motion here to allow the fire department and the mayor to discuss the fees and different things for the commercial, and some change maybe the ordinance as far as in-town
Well,
calls.
it's kind of what the agenda item says now. Action regarding updates. So that's-
Yeah.
So we had also talked at one point about the in-town fire fee for like family burn pits and stuff. Is that related to this item?
It's next.
The burn,
Okay.
burning is next,
It'll be a
yeah.
separate item.
I couldn't remember how that was
Yeah.
written out on there, so yeah.
So, motion to let, BK and the mayor, is that the way we want to word that?
Well, yeah, it says regarding updates, so let them go ahead and work
Yep.
on the updates.
Right,
Yep.
the updates, yeah.
Just
And
like-
you'll send it straight to council once you're done, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Further discussion? Hearing no discussion, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes?
Trammell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, that one passed. Okay, the next one is discuss possible recommend council action regarding amendments of 93.32 open burning. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
So BK, you and I have talked about this quite a bit in the past. I'm so glad to see it here. Does this just get rid of commercial burning?
Well, that would be your all's decision. I guess I will say my recommendation is we need to make it, so we get a lot of lots that get cleaned up, and it is good that they're cleaning up lots, but in your ward, there was a lot cleared up and went to burning. It was causing a nuisance to the neighbors, so we were constantly going out there, putting it out, going back and forth.
And they ended up just putting it on a truck and hauling it off.
Yes, which we don't allow, like if it's 10 to 12 inches diameter or bigger, just because they sit there and smolder, we tell them they need to haul that off anyway. But burning the brush, it does help those crews cleaning it up, but those crews are coming in and cleaning up lots that they're making money on that.
Yes, they are.
So I think when this was first kind of looked at, it was to help the homeowner, if they could, which very few residents meet the criteria to even be able to burn. But hey, if you got a lot of, like some of the places where the creeks and stuff run through, they get a lot of debris up in their yard,
Oh, yeah.
So I like it for those people where they can clean up what gets washed down to them, or, whatever. They can clean their yard, they can do that. They follow the rules. But some of the commercial stuff, and that's what we ran into, what's that been? Almost 8 months ago or so?
Oh, it's been about a year now,
About a year.
a little over a year.
So we run into that, and that's my thing, just like this, if the commercial one, for what they pay and probably what they're charging, it's helping them out quite a good deal. So either we make good money on it, or they haul it off which when they haul it off, they take it out to our brush dump, and then Buddy's responsible for it, so I don't know if that's another whole deal with that, but on the commercial burning, I think we could charge more. The other two, the residential and the agriculture, we don't have a lot of issues with those, but
Well, they have to have a burn permit from you to be able to do that anyway, correct?
Yes. Supposed
Do
to.
they come and get
They're
it?
supposed to.
yes, and
According to this, they are.
yeah, and the biggest thing with this is when we go look at a pile, it looks great tonight.
I don't know
but
what they're gonna
when-
throw on in the morning.
When we leave,
Yeah.
we can clean
Got-
out this or do that unless we
four tractor
maintain
tires
or
and
a neighbor calls it in, or we see it in passing by. We kind of leave it to the responsible party that, hey, here's your guidelines you fall within.
Well, isn't there supposed to be a cleared area at so many feet around the burn pile that,
Yeah, so ours is pretty much a 10 by 10 pile is the biggest thing. So 10 by 10 and no bigger than 10 foot tall, and you have to have a clean area around. Some of the companies that actually have done good for us on the commercial, they'll actually dig a trench and even put a blower to where it burns and doesn't throw as much smoke and stuff
Okay.
like that. So there are some that are proactive, but even that, for what they pay, and there's even been a couple tell me like, this is way better than, for what it cost us to haul this off and do this, like, they're hitting a home run, and I don't know if the fees are accurate or the headache when you've got a ward and there's a burn going on, and I mean, how many calls do you think we got on that one?
I easily got 20 to 40 calls
really?
Yeah.
just on that one area,
And
and multiple calls, but
Who was the contractor?
I'm not gonna start
Okay.
mentioning names.
But that's fine.
But it was down there on Seventh Place,
yeah,
between
and
Seventh and Eighth off of Van, that huge lot. He had dug pits, but I was not getting complaints about the flames, which
Yeah.
were pretty big. I was getting complaints about house smoke getting in houses to the point people couldn't stay in there.
Well, the one resident had a concentrator, oxygen concentrator, did she?
Oh, wow.
And it was going into that, so.
I-
no,
maybe-
and the way it's wrote now, if it's causing a nuisance, we go and put it out. And we stop that, but that's where we could either go, and this would be another one too, we could work on beefing up. I think the commercial stuff, when those people are cleaning up those lots, it's no different if I came and bid a job for you. If I know, hey, I can't burn this, I gotta haul it off, I'm just gonna put it in my
Sure, it's
bid
in your
package.
bid, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, okay, it's gonna cost you this, and we'll move forward, or,
I don't think there should be any commercial burning in the city limits. Quite frankly, I don't think there should be any non-recreational burning in the city limits. We have a brush dump for a reason.
and it's open, how many, what,
It's
One or
free
two, yeah.
every first and third Saturday.
Well, and Dinsmore's looking at putting an actual office on the road that goes there so that he
Right.
can man that more often. And, I
And
mean,
and either
keep it
keep it
more-
open or have somebody there.
As long as you don't bring stuff in there that's not supposed to
I
be.
mean,
like
we
treated
outline
lumber.
in A2, I don't know how to say that first, chimney or outdoor fireplace, fire
Yeah.
pits. That I'm okay with, but, even somebody building a brush pile and setting it on fire in their backyard,
I'm all fine staying at the station, so anytime we're not
Yeah.
setting stuff on fire, I'm good.
Exactly, I mean,
Yeah.
set something on fire in city limits,
But how many people have built a 20-foot barrier around that burn pile?
They
that's
don't.
No vegetation.
They don't.
Other than, you have a few here in town that, like I said, have the creeks that wash stuff up, and they used to be agriculture, most of them,
Yeah,
they got annexed in. They're probably the only ones that really, sure enough, tried to play by the rules, just because they're getting everything upstream coming down on them.
Sure.
And it floods out, so they've got a big mess to clean up, and depending on what time of season it is, they could have some pretty big piles,
yeah.
but
How much do you charge for a residential burn permit and a commercial burn permit?
I would have to look, Cheryl does all those, I think a residential, I'd be lying to you, say $30 or so, I
So
think.
they're probably pretty cheap.
Yeah, the residential's pretty cheap, I think a commercial's only 100, and I think an
I think you're right on
agriculture
that one, yeah.
is maybe 75, but I think they were pretty, and I think agriculture, you can buy it and it's good for a year. So, which they did that back, or my understanding was, back when we annexed a bunch of stuff where they could burn and there was no deal, they felt like that was fair, like, hey, you come pay one deal, you call us every time you burn, but you can burn throughout the year as long as we okay it,
Right.
kind of deal, but that was before my time in the office, but I believe that
So
was.
I would recommend if we're gonna change this, then we completely ban residential and commercial burning within the city limits, other than the recreational purposes already outlined in A2.
And the chimeneas and stuff like that, we don't have to inspect any of that, as long as they can show that it's in a improved area, or it's like a.
Commercial.
Yeah, a commercial kind of deal, and they're not doing anything, because there's a lot of folks that have real nice backyards that's got some fancy setting spots.
Without
Built
going
for that.
too far off while we're on this subject, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. I was just thinking if we could come up with some kind of, and Jay, maybe you know, on our website, some kind of indicator when we have red flag days or not. So they would know, maybe you or Johnny can come up with something where it's a widget that says today's a no burn day.
Yeah, and so when they get those, we try to post them to keep up with them, but like, they've got a 10-day period, so if I were to come out and inspect a burn pile, I'll say, hey, the weather's doing this, the wind gusts are over 10 miles, so we'll extend that 10 just because the next 4 days you're out.
Yeah.
But you need to call before you light this off, because we make them call, so we log it dispatch. So when they call us or call dispatch, if it's a red flag or there's an issue that the winds, they can't burn, they're told you can't burn today before they even crack it off. That being said, we've had some that's started them and forgot to call us, but if we don't have it logged in dispatch, we run out there and we tell them, we'll put it out and say, hey, you can't be burning in these conditions, and explain it to them there, but yeah, no, that's,
I bet with some of the fire starters you have a really good time putting it out too, don't you?
oh, yeah. No,
So what are y'all thinking on just banning it altogether?
I think what we ought to do is, I think that ought to be a discussion matter for the whole council, don't you?
I mean, if we're gonna sit here and just pass everything to the whole council, why are we even having these meetings? I mean, that just,
To go through them but I'm just saying,
no, I mean, I don't see the value of O&I if we're gonna sit here and just say, well, we just need to let the
Or-
council figure this out. No, we need to figure this out and make a recommendation to the council on
Right.
what we think. And
Right.
I've made the recommendation that we ban
commercial
all
burning,
commercial and residential burning, other than the recreational outlined in A2. Already outlined in A2. I'm okay with it, fire pits, however you said that.
what's
chimney,
your thoughts on that, chief?
I think the only ones we'll get kicked back on that is, like I said, the places where your creeks run through and then wet weather creeks run through, that they get a lot of
Debris.
debris.
And it's
back on
big
them.
stuff. It can be logs and everything else.
Yeah, and I think those will be your only ones that you get a kickback. I say a kickback, and I see them being like, hey, we get this, and if we kick it back in the creek, it's just gonna keep going downstream and eventually going somewhere. But, I mean, like I said earlier too,
That's what I did.
if we don't have to, if we don't have any fires, because these, I'll say probably 60 to 70 of them, there's usually an issue either with a neighbor, or afterwards they added to, or something, which that's just people being people.
What if, Charles, and I'm sorry I keep interjecting, I know I'm not part of the committee, but just thoughts, because we've talked a lot about this. What if we do, I'm okay with getting rid of the commercial completely, but on the residential for some of those, because we do have a lot of stuff that washes up or whatever, we say you can do a residential cleanup burn with a permit, but the penalties and fines for not having a modified area or having that permit are greater. So we up the fines rather than saying absolutely not.
And most of those areas eventually, or most of those areas, a lot of them still just get the residential, because they might try to collect it and just do one burn instead of burning through the year, so it's cheaper for them just to do one. But most of those areas that we have the wash up or the big debris areas were
Those are all
agriculture.
kind of the outer,
Yes, sir.
You're
outer
talking south.
limits of the city.
Yeah, so like
Salt Branch or Pryor
Yeah,
Creek.
yeah. You take those areas, they were agriculture.
I'm okay with that.
That, a lot of them,
Fines.
but most of them aren't like your you're
I'm
in.
thinking like behind Bruce Smith's house or something like that, where he
Yep.
gets the overflow and it.
Woodhaven and stuff like back there where it all draws back up there
Yeah.
off the split and stuff,
Sir?
Pryor Creek.
When I was here in December on a complaint about the debris a guy was piling up, they thought it was in the floodplain, he was gonna burn in the floodplain. And so my suggestion, and it wasn't, it wound up that it wasn't, he had moved, he collected it and moved it out of the floodplain. So I would do something, we don't wanna burn it in the floodplain, we don't have all, so we have all that debris. So if they're gonna do that, they need to do it.
Outside the flood.
Outside the floodplain?
Point too, 'cause-
Yeah.
and that's
Thank you.
what enough, or a lot of them kind of know, which that's more of a Johnny Jansen, he knows the floodplains, but or the maps to say, hey,
Right.
you need to move that another 15, just so the debris, when it's all settled
Doesn't
up.
go down the
That's
creek.
a great point.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Okay, so how do we want to state that? That we want to cancel or no more commercial burning and limited
And then I
residential
think
burning?
the mayor needs to get with the BK and they need to figure out how much to increase the penalties for
Well, that'll be-
non-compliant residential
How,
burns.
how many,
That'll be our next thing, too.
do you all write the citations or does Trent write the citations?
No, it would go through PD at the end of the day, which
Okay.
Trent would probably be the one. We've always been fairly fortunate when we catch somebody doing something wrong, we're like, hey,
Put it out and let's, yeah. And
this
it's
is
done.
what we need you to do. If we come back, there'll be a cop with us and we'll have to cite you. And
Well, I know
for the
you-
most part-
You being a certified officer, you could write the citation.
Yeah, but I like the cupcakes and cakes. So I want him to be mad at Trent.
I know, but
Cantrell.
I didn't know if you wrote the citations.
No, we let them know that we can cite them or PD, which we usually try to follow that since Trent's got that to where it all kind of stacks to.
Well, that's something you can give to Brandon or.
Oh, yeah, no, he'll be stroking them off all the time. But no, we've always been fortunate, and I usually try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, even if I know they're being on the hard-headed side, like, hey, help us out here, and you'll be good, we'll be good, we'll go on our way, you go on your way, and we'll make all of our neighbors happy, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
That's good. So we want to change it to ban commercial burning and burning residential by permit only?
Well, it's already, you already have to get a permit for residential burns,
Right,
right?
well,
But you would increase the fines.
okay, that'll
If
be
you
on the
want to
next.
cut it out too, I mean, if those one areas, we can look and see if they're covered, you could just have an agriculture. I believe you probably should keep the ceremonial if it,
Yeah,
we don't have a lot of those. I couldn't tell you the last time we had one, but
Well, in agriculture, because some of our, even though it's inside the city limits, it's still agriculture, and they may plant weed or something, they need to burn that off, or some kind of, corn stubble or something, so.
Get rid of commercial today, so.
okay. So you want to change it to get rid of the commercial today?
Yep,
Okay.
and then we'll figure out the penalties later for residential.
We'll just,
Any-
when we have that meeting.
yeah, no, we can sit on that.
Any further discussion? Okay, we're going to vote to, the motion is to do away with commercial burning inside the city limits. Anything else? All right, call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes,
Brown,
Yes,
Shropshire.
Yes. Okay. The next one is discuss possibly recommend council action regarding amendments of 10.99 penalty. Entertain a motion.
motion.
second.
Motion's made and seconded, discussion. Okay, now we get into the penalty phase, huh?
I think
This
there-
is for traffic, this is for all.
That's not you.
Is this?
No,
That's not you.
Yeah, thanks, B.
don't
All
forget
right,
your water
thank you,
bottle.
BK.
So
Thanks, BK.
this is my understanding that this is for all our fines and.
Yeah, so what we've got right now is, we have some, read that item one more time, so I word this correctly.
Okay, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding amendments to this 1099 penalty.
That's what we talked about the other day, right?
Yes.
So what we've got is, we've got a cap on our traffic
Oh,
of $200 for fines, and a cap on our other stuff of $500. A lot of what we see, though, is a lot of that is, well, we'll give you $30 here, or we'll do $20 here. we need to be able to raise that cap on both of those. You know, in all honesty, some of that should be revenue, and we're not seeing that revenue right now. But also, we can't raise that, we can't do anything higher than a $200 ticket for any traffic violation.
Right.
So we need to be able to raise that, but also we need to have Julie Nefsker, our judge, needs to be a part of that, because she's got some fancy, what was the fancy title? Do you remember the?
Traffic Enforcement Bureau.
She is our Traffic Enforcement Bureau for the city of Pryor as our judge. And so I just have to get a verbal from her that she's okay with that. But I think the recommendation here is that we modify those caps to raise them as needed.
Significantly.
Yes.
So if we're capped out at $200, I mean, that's.
That means you can't do anything in your car that's gonna cost you more than $200.
But we can go, the city ordinance can go higher than the 200. I mean, we can raise it up higher than the $200.
We could, that's our ordinance that says
Okay, okay.
200, so we,
What,
If
do we know
need
what
to put
the state ordinance is on?
I don't know what state is,
Does state limit what municipalities can
I think they do.
fine?
The state does have limits on the fines. I didn't have copies of that for your packet, though, so I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head what they
Yeah.
limited at.
I can't remember what it is either, but there's a certain, I know that they changed it where the city could raise their fines up to, but they couldn't be over a certain amount.
well, then maybe what would be a recommendation is if you guys would be okay recommending that
We go up to what the.
Whatever the state
go up
ordinance is.
equal
Yeah.
to or match the state
Yes,
and get Judge Nefsker's blessing on it.
right.
And then just make those modifications.
And
But also
think,
like Chase's input as well.
Yeah,
I think our court fees can, or administration fees, whatever we want to call them, can probably go up as well.
well, part of the problem that we're seeing is Jay, I bring Jay into this because she has done a lot with our court. She's been a lot of the ticket stuff on the backside. She is a woman of many colors. But what we're seeing is a lot of things like, people get arrested are picked up at Walmart for a larceny, and they're not getting a
Right.
citation, they're getting a notice,
Show
notice to
court.
appear.
Yep.
Well, then it was our prosecutor that said those aren't prosecutable documents.
Right.
So we let them go.
Yeah, it's a
And
problem.
at that point, we just got nothing out of that whole kit and caboodle. So they're gonna continue to go back and they're gonna continue to take and go. And we've got a lot of our businesses downtown that are closing earlier now because they're getting an influx of theft and things. We need to be able to enforce with a hammer that you're not gonna steal in our community.
Right.
I mean, and.
It goes beyond stealing, you're gonna
Well,
obey the law in our community.
Correct, yes, and I'm sorry, you're gonna be law abiding. We don't wanna put people in a situation where they fear going out in public, that they're gonna,
Right.
breathe wrong and get some that's not the point. The point is, the offenders need to be hit harder. We need to get our law enforcement writing citations, not appearance,
Promise to appears.
right, because we get no revenue on that at all.
Right. Well, I guess we could do like Tony Jack Lyons did too. Just put him in jail.
Not to exceed 30 days.
So that's kind of what this whole item was brought to, because we realize it's got to be changed and amended. At that, we need to sit down with, like you said, with Chase and Julie and Ben and say,
Yep.
and Jeremy needs to be in on this, keep it a smaller, and Hannah, and say, here's what we need to be able to do for these, because this is limiting us to basically no revenues.
So let me ask this, is the $150 administrative fee for all public nuisance, how much do we charge to process paperwork here at the window?
I don't know that there's any charge on it.
Can we?
A lot of cities, if you're doing like abatement work, or you're doing anything where they have to come in and process, I know, and I don't want to wrongly say the wrong town, but there's 2 or 3 in the vicinity of Tulsa. Their administrative fees for abatement process is like $500. I know when I was the abatement officer, I believe it was Sand Springs, it was $495 administrative fee.
That's a conversation I'd like to see you have with Julie, Chase,
But
Ben.
I think
well as-
there's
so-
absolutely, on a criminal, you correct me, Steve, if I'm there and wrong, But on a criminal situation, I think those administrative fees should be imposing.
Yes. I know, over at county court, they'll charge you $25 for a speeding ticket, for driving without a driver's license.
Well, and then the other thing is,
And then your court cost is $400.
along this same line, as we're talking about fees, we had also talked about, we need to also get the council's blessing on our document fees, so our record request fees. The police department has a very detailed, laid out, redactions are this is that, and here's what the fee are. We just say we can charge. I think it would be very beneficial of the city to have one policy citywide that mimics what the police department has. Because on those redactions, if we have to send a redaction out to Brooks Digital, right now, we're paying for it. And I think if we're gonna redact it for any number of people that we could get those multiple, you know what I'm saying? I know you all know what I'm saying and what I'm referring to. There's no reason we should have to pay that. If we have to send it for redaction, you're gonna pay $25 per redaction. I mean, so I think,
Per redaction or per document redacted?
well, per document redacted, what I'm saying is I think we should mimic the policy that the police have in place. It's a,
Here, that we
Here.
already do that.
that no longer is just the police policy, that is citywide, that's what we're gonna charge you. And that can be posted on the bulletin board, it could be posted online, it is what it is, and,
That's compliant with the Open Records Act?
what do you mean?
That we can charge for?
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We can't charge anything in excess of the, justifiable administrative cost of answering the records request. So anything over an hour of your time, or, making physical copies, or undue effort, I think is on that list, or anything being requested for commercial purposes.
And that's in the act itself?
Yes.
But that policy that the police that the police department has, it would work beautifully for the whole city. So that would be my recommendation there.
So it sounds like you're not only wanting to increase what we've got already outlined in the penalty, but you're wanting to add more, as am I.
That's a different,
I think
we can't vote on that.
this would be probably, okay, let's give an action to this item, right?
Because the
That
way
we
I've got it
would,
is,
we would be able to review and
Regarding
modify.
amendments to penalty, so we can add an amendment to any penalty we want.
Right, and we need to sit down with our court team, our clerk, and our law enforcement and say, here's what we're gonna do. But we need the council's blessing to get that process started so that when we come to it at the end, there's no surprises on why we've raised or changed or modified fees.
so we would probably say, discuss possible recommend council action regarding amendments to the 1099 penalty, including updates and,
Increasing
The
existing
decrease-
fines.
Modifications,
yeah, with going with how we're gonna put the court, people in there when you're gonna talk to them? How would you add that in there?
It's got amendments here. I think that's all we need to do is regarding amendments. It sounds like that's what you're wanting to do. We're amending the existing
After-
ordinance to increase
increase the amounts.
the amounts, and then we're amending the existing ordinance,
Rec-
allowing the mayor and the law enforcement team and court team.
Getting all that? Chime in.
I'm not trying to argue. That's not that's not in that ordinance. That's not gonna be, the records request fees,
It would just be part of the fees and things.
that's not gonna be contained in this
That
section
won't
of
be a
code.
penalty, though, that'll be a
No.
fee.
But if we do,
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
got it. But that needs to be addressed too, so.
Yeah,
I think
that'll be in a
take
different
that
one.
and just bring it to
Okay.
the council.
Okay, so.
Okay.
We're just working on the penalty now, so we'll be working on getting an update for the maximum amount, charged by our fees now.
Good.
Okay, further discussion on that one. How are we gonna call it?
I didn't I didn't get a motion in a second on that when you started talking about it.
Yeah,
He motioned, he seconded.
Okay.
penalty.
On the penalties?
Yeah, I mean, I had Trammell and Brown for the last one, but if they said it again, I just missed it. Oh.
You made the
I
motion.
made
Oh, he
the
did the
motion.
first one? He did
I
the second.
seconded it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
my
just
bad.
switched this around. I made the motion for us to go to,
Okay.
to recommend.
I just didn't hear it happen.
No, that's okay.
Brown,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes,
Trammell.
Yes.
okay, we got that one. All right. Discuss possibly recommend council action regarding amendments to several sections of code pertaining to floodplain and stormwater issues based on suggestion from the city's floodplain administrator. Sir, how are we doing today?
We're doing good.
All right, I guess we'll get started here.
I'm Bill Smith.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to do a little instruction first.
Great.
So we, Pryor, along with 433 other communities in the state of Oklahoma, are participants in the National Flood Insurance Program, which is overseen by FEMA, which is shut down right now. Each community that participates has to have a floodplain ordinance, which we do, and a floodplain administrator, which we do. That's me. So there's two types of flooding. There's regulatory flooding that is presented on the firm panels, the FEMA floodplain panels. And we have Pryor Creek and Salt Creek Branch and all those have designated maps that are special flood hazard areas. They're regulatory, and if anything is done within those jurisdictional boundaries of the floodplain or the floodway, they have to provide a floodplain development permit application and all of the hydrology and hydraulics and whatever, and I will review it to see if it's compliant with our ordinance, and I'll either sign and issue a floodplain development permit, or I will say you've got to do this in order to get one, or they just decide they're not going to do something because they don't want to have to go through all the process. That's the regulatory side. People get flooded in the regulatory floodplain. Cars get flooded out, people get flooded out, houses get flooded out, all sorts of stuff. But I want to talk about the non-regulatory floodplain, which is everything else. Wherever a drop of water falls and starts to go downhill is a floodplain. And every community has millions of acres of non-regulatory floodplain. Normally, we kind of look at that, and people get flooded in it, from the bar ditches, from crushed culverts, street flooding, localized flooding. People don't care whether it's a regulatory flood or a non-regulatory flood. Their feet are wet, their houses are inundated with water, doesn't matter. When I started in Wagner in 2016, as the floodplain administrator, one of the very first things I did was do a stormwater ordinance in addition to the floodplain ordinance. So in Wagner, any development, if you want to put an outbuilding in your backyard, you have to get a stormwater development permit. If you want to build a 100,000 square foot industrial building or a new data center, you have to get a stormwater permit. And a lot of times that will require on-site stormwater detention or some kind of mitigation to do that. So that's how I handled it in Wagner. When Jimmy was mayor, we talked about a stormwater ordinance too, and it just kind of didn't go anywhere. But the last few, I'll say, topical issues that I've been asked to look at in Pryor have raised the question again on, are we letting stuff fall through the crack? And in my opinion, we are, and that's why I did this.
Okay.
Now, I see it, I did this in a very simple, simplistic way because of the way the floodplain ordinance is written. I think it says flooding Doesn't say floodplain ordinance, it says flooding ordinance. So flooding ordinance is just opens it up to either floodplain, regulatory floodplain, or non-regulatory stormwater flooding. And so that's why I wrote this way, to keep it real simple. So I have 4 recommendations for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the black part of each one of these is how the floodplain ordinance is currently written. And so then I give you a little bit of example or explanation, and then I put in quotes as what I would recommend that we add.
Add to, okay.
So, for example, on the first one, all development, not just regulatory development, but all development, either regulatory or non-regulatory floodplain, shall be constructed and maintained so as not to increase the frequency of flooding or water surface for the 100-year event, the 50-year event, the 10-year event, or it should have said, the last one should have been the five-year.
Okay, so,
Okay, typo.
no problem.
Peak flow shall not increase upstream or downstream of the identified project for all of the frequencies. A lot of times, they'll only look at the 100-year storm, but most of the complaints that I get in the communities I'm in are caused by the 1-year storm or the 2-year storm or the 5-year storm that happen every year. We don't always get a 100-year storm or a 500-year storm, but it's all that little stuff. And so I had a case just not too long ago where they didn't increase the 100-year, but they significantly increased the smaller ones, which means that on a regular basis, they're going to have more and more flooding, more often. So that's my kind of my first one with the correction of the typo. On the second one, it talks about obstructions to the natural flow, and it's primarily, again, relating to streets or sidewalks or driveway culverts, and it kind of doesn't address natural creeks or drainage channels. And when I came out here in December for the thing I talked about with the flood cleanup debris, that's why I did it. Because when I was looking, the ordinance doesn't talk about the natural channels that are there. And so it's the same thing. We can get flooded, we can have flooding just probably more likely on natural channels, creeks and channels, than we do with driveway culverts and stuff like that. So just adding a few words.
Because they're not maintained?
They're not maintained.
So is this going back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago with BK on these creeks running through people's property? They would have to maintain the
Yeah.
flow of those creeks?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's part of the problem that I've run in with most of the city attorneys of the communities I work in. The ability, I've gone out, I can't tell you how many people I've gone out to and said, you're in the regulatory flood, this is regulatory floodplain, not non-regulatory. This is regulatory floodplain, and you're allowing beaver dams to be built up, and you're throwing trash, all your limbs and your leaves and stuff you're throwing in the creek in your back channel, and it's causing flooding upstream. And I have the authority as floodplain administrator in enemy communities. I have police power. And I can go to the district attorney and have them arrested for doing that in regulatory, not in non-regulatory. That's part of the reason that I'm doing the first one, so that we've got a little more teeth there. But the other problem is that, well, we're not going to do this, or they'll come to the council and they say, oh, buddy, we can't, don't make us do this, and da-da-da-da. And it just, we know good old boy stuff happens all the time. But it is causing problems upstream. We as the community cannot go in, we don't have any right under any conditions to go in and clean their ditches because it's private property unless they give us a construction easement. And you open that door one time, and everybody's going to say, well, I want you to come clean my creek, and I want you to clean my creek. So that's not a door that you want to open, I can assure you of that. But we want to, I'm always in the explanatory viewpoint of saying, if you don't clean this up, your neighbor's going to flood. Do you care about your neighbor? Yeah, I do. Well, then, would you clean it up? And most of the time they will.
Does the Corps of Engineers have any say over it?
So, not for that kind of stuff. The only thing that the Corps has jurisdiction over is if it's greater than a half or a tenth of an acre or 500 linear feet of channel improvement, then they're required to get a Section 404 permit. But if it's 200 feet or if they're just throwing debris in there, even if it's a regulatory floodplain, the court doesn't have any jurisdiction on it.
Okay.
So it is what it is. The Section 7.3.4 called drainage tiles is basically for driveway culverts. That's what that's all about. And so I'm just adding a little bit, if they're going to, any person with an existing or new culvert shall maintain the culvert to permit full conditions. Any crushed culvert pipe shall be replaced or repaired. You can drive around any community and you'll see every other culvert has been crushed in. When it's crushed in, there's no hydraulic capacity. I'll just tell you the way to do it. The easiest way is to cut those pipes on a 45-degree angle. It will stop them from being crushed, and it opens up the hydraulic openings so that you get more water in, more water out. And so, like all my crews on the different communities, I tell them, if you see a crushed culvert, just take a grinder or a sawsaw or something and cut it at 45 degrees. It's in our street right away. We have the right to amend that if it's there. It's real easy. It's real simple. It takes about 10 minutes to do. So.
And we've got a new device out there now that the street department has. They've got a jetter that they can actually clear those out.
Uh-huh.
So that's handy also.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my suggestion on that one. And the last one, I'm proposing to add all development in either regulatory or non-regulatory floodplain shall be constructed or maintained that it will not increase the frequency of flooding or water surface elevation or depth of flooding in any pre-existing structures, again, to the same different frequencies. Peak flow shall not increase upstream or downstream. This part really ties into is the guts of a stormwater ordinance, but the way our ordinance is written, just with those words that I've got in paragraph, would, in our floodplain development ordinance, would give us the teeth to be able to make people do the analyses and make sure that it's done. So I'm not proposing to do another ordinance. I'm just proposing to add some language just because of the way our ordinance is written a little, that we can blend them together and make one,
Okay.
just a few changes in one document.
We're back to amendments again.
Yeah, would that have any impact to, I mean, we're building houses now, left and right. Is that gonna slow things down?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will because we've got regulations on how, curb and gutters and how they do
Regardless.
regardless, and those specs have all been met.
Huh.
I mean, we're doing good there, but I do think that if
It,
crushed culvert, we'll get some kickback on that. Somebody will say, it's our job to do it, but reality is it's not.
in Pryor, I don't know the answer to this. If somebody needs to put in a new culvert, does the city pay for it and install it, or does the person do
We
it?
can, so typically, we don't do any cutting on private drives. So if you'll cut it and get it open, we'll put a new one in, but then we're gonna put gravel back on top of it.
Okay.
We're not laying,
Concrete or?
right, but we are definitely not cutting
Right.
into yours.
But the city is paying for the culvert? Okay. In Wagner, they make the homeowner pay for the culvert and the city will install it. And I've argued with him, I said, this is statutory right of way. It's on the city property. And-
Well, and the
But
truth is-
they're getting away with it, it works.
Those areas through Pryor, and you guys all know this, they're all over your ward, where those culverts are crushed.
Yeah,
Those homeowners can't even begin to afford that.
no. And
But also, we can't get into cutting driveways. That's awful, but they cut it, put something on it. We'll pull it out, we'll lift it out, drop a new one in, but we're gonna put gravel back on top of it.
we do that so we can keep it on grade.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, those are my recommendations.
Okay.
Now, this last part here about the floodplain ordinance, you hadn't gone over that. This is a part of our floodplain ordinance and really does not apply to non-regulatory floodplain.
Uh-huh,
Which will read definitions, a section of code, it can be easily amended with the following language as a second subset of the definition. All development in either regulatory or non-regulatory floodplains shall be constructed or maintained that it will not increase the frequency of flooding or surface water elevations or depth of flooding or any pre-existing structures. And again, you're talking about during the 1% 100-year storm, 2% 50-year storm, and 10% 10-year storm, or 100% one-year storm event. Peak flow shall not increase upstream or downstream, or any identified project for all the above referenced storms. This is also specific to subdivisions and needs to address individual.
yeah, that's
property.
just a comment, the last sentence is just a
Right.
comment.
So
Right.
100%, is that?
The 100% is correct, because a 1-year storm happens every year, so it is 100%.
So-
So that is correct as it's typed.
So 1 year would be the correct one.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're both typed correct.
Okay.
I misspoke.
yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we were all on the same page.
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so we need to talk about adding the points that you made into our ordinance.
Yeah. So it would just be a revision of the current ordinance and go through council and, adopt it.
And approve it.
Everything that I've written in here, almost every community does anyway.
It's just part of the rules and laws, huh?
How would this affect, this last proposed change affect that development up north of Roosevelt on North Elliott? I mean, there's already,
No, I think they've got that. You talking about the one on
Thank you, sir.
that,
Old Airport Road?
no, as you're going up, before you get to Clayton Road, but that empty lot between
The pasture,
southeast,
Cross-
what is it, northeast Fifth and
Yeah.
that
On the east
curve
side
the
of the
on
pasture,
the
yeah.
east side of the road, yeah. I know there's a lot of complaints about the flooding if it was developed.
There'd have to be detention through there, right? And then it would have to be channeled through that property, or through that drainage that we created that goes through the love. or not
Probably have
area,
to, yeah,
the salt.
probably have to build a retention
Retention
pond in there.
ponds.
I mean, that's kind of what we've been telling all of the developers is that, just plan on having to put detention in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then that way we're, if we come down to it and there's a problem, he's probably got me on speed dial. I don't know, you're on my speed dial, but,
And the other thing, our city engineer, we talk all the time, and so he'll look at the plans, and he'll call me up and say, well, this isn't in the floodplain, but what do you think about, this?
He knows the elevations and stuff.
well, and remember, that's infrastructures. They're water engineers first and foremost.
We walk the same pathway.
So,
That's wonderful. Okay,
so do we need to motion with
regarding these amendments, yeah,
with the addition of recommended additions?
okay, with regarding amendments, it's already on there to several sections of the code planning. So it's correct the way it's read.
Okay.
So, any further discussion? Okay, I guess we can call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes?
Dremel,
Yes,
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, that's passed. I know of no unforeseeable business, so,
So I do have one.
Okay.
I wanna own up to something. There was one item that I told Jay I couldn't remember. And then I was reminded of it. I was reminded of it yesterday. So there is one ordinance that we need to address.
okay.
I don't know if we want to still have a special meeting for that one.
Let's do it, yeah, let's have a meeting. When's our next scheduled meeting?
We can schedule it when we need to.
Let's do it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
In May.
Appreciate it.
So
There's other things I want to talk to you about.
with that, I just want to own up that I did not remember, and I told her, like, there's something I can't
Oh,
remember.
my goodness.
And no sooner than we posted it, I got told what it was. So I'm owning up to that. I won't say what it is publicly because I don't want to stir anything, but it is what it is.
Okay, so we'll have another meeting at some time.
In May.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh, motion.
Motion, second. Okay, motion been made and seconded. Call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I need to